Hi everyone, we are live here. I see a lot of our buddies here already chiming in on LinkedIn. We're here with Marissa and Kenzie, founders of the Brief Collective, and they're here to talk to you all about today about how to price your design work without trading time for money. So excited to welcome them to the show. And yes, we're for great. I'm Grace from Design Buddies. We try to do a lot of like LinkedIn, YouTube lives to share wonderful knowledge with our buddies today. And also for everyone tuning in right now, we'd love to know where in the world you are at and what are your goals as a designer? Are you like a freelancer? Are you a W-2 designer? And we'd love to know. And also, there is like a 30-second delay between what you see on LinkedIn and what we see on StreamYard. Um, yes. Yeah, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Marissa and Kenzie.
What's up, party people? We are so excited to be here today. I'm Coach Marissa, that's Coach Kenzie, and we're going to tell you guys all about us and get straight into pricing design work. We all know that like trading time for money is not the way to go, or at least I hope you know that. And if you don't, then listen a little longer because we're going to talk about that. Let's jump into it. So we really love a super active chat. So if you guys have questions, comments, want to make us giggle a little bit, we'd love that. And so please stay active in that chat for us. So first of all, I want you to put an emoji in the chat that describes how you feel when talking about money. For me, I love talking about money like it's the weather, but I know for some, talking about money makes your like palms immediately start sweating. Kinsey, how do you feel talking about money?
I feel pretty good, but it also can kind of depend on who I'm talking to. Like, sometimes there are certain people where it's just like, I don't want to talk about money with you because they feel like it's a very taboo topic. And I think a lot of people were raised to believe that. And that can become a really big problem when you're trying to help clients make more revenue and you have to talk about money. Alejandra put a kind of smiling face, kind of freaking.
We have another melting face that's very relatable. I love that emoji. What else? Let's see some more emoji. Sad face, hiding face. Yes, all of these are so dang valid right now. Money can be hard, man. And I'm so excited that you guys showed up today to talk about this because just the fact that you're in this room talking about money right now means that you're getting just a little bit more comfortable with it. Upside down smiley face, a Pinocchio nose, no expression. Oh, you guys are cracking me up right now. This is awesome. Let's keep going. Many creatives carry shame around money because we've all heard the things, right? If you pursue a creative career, you're always going to struggle. How many of you have heard that? I know that I have. From my own parents, I've heard that. You shouldn't talk about money. That's rude, right? Typically in corporate America, they tell you that you shouldn't talk to your cohort about how much you make, right? I know insert friend can do it cheaper. Ugh, I hate hearing that one. Maybe you also have heard your services are too expensive, right? How many of you have heard these things? I know I sure have. Grace, yes. Kinsey, yes. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, so we are the Brief Collective, and we're here to break the starving artist mentality. And I'm sure a lot of you just resonated with that last slide because so many creatives, when we enter the industry, especially if we want to go out on our own, we often hear those things. And there's a lot of negativity around what we do. And therefore, we kind of end up burning out, undercharging, discounting, and kind of break boundaries that we need in our business to build a sustainable income and do what we love. And so we want to create change in our industry. We are working to transform the design industry from the inside out. And after successfully running our own design businesses for multiple years and booking 10K plus clients, we co-founded TBC in 2021. And since starting our community, we have helped hundreds of designers go from struggling freelancers to high ticket designers in our signature program, Design Biz Academy University. So it is possible for anyone. We've done it, our students have done it, and like, you don't have to live as a starving artist, even if you want to be creative. You can be a successful designer without discounting your services to book clients. You can be a successful designer without being the cheapest option on the market. That is not the selling point that we encourage creatives to have. Like, your selling point should be, I'm the best at what I do and I'm the best for you, and that's why you should hire me, not because you are the cheapest on the market. That is a race to the bottom. You can also be a successful designer without constantly cold pitching yourself. We are really firm believers in attraction marketing, meaning our clients reach out to us and they're already warm leads, potentially interested in what we have to offer, because we're not cold pitching them. They're seeing what we can do and they know they need what we have, so they come to us, and that feels really good. You can be a successful designer without trading your time for money. That's a big focus point of this workshop. And you don't have to have a giant social media following to do this either. We have students booking clients for thousands of dollars with less than 100 followers on social media.
Who feels like they can't charge more because they need more experience? Raise your digital hand, put it in the chat for us. Have you been feeling like, I just can't do that. I don't have enough experience. I've only been in a creative business for about 6 months or a year or something like that. I know when I first started, I definitely felt like I needed more experience to be able to charge more. Okay, we got some people in the chat. Definitely me, 100%. I hear that a lot. Yeah, I think that throughout every creative industry, this is like a common thread that I can pick out. Okay, like, I need more experience. I got to do this. I feel like I don't know enough. Well, I'm here to tell you that you do know enough and you can charge more. Who feels like they can't charge more because they aren't skilled enough? What about that? Yes, me, totally me. Digital hand raised. Yes, we all feel this exact same way. And who feels like they can only charge more if they work more hours? Who feels like that? Yes, me, right here. Okay, yeah. But you don't have to trade your time for money. Let's keep going here. What if we told you that charging more actually has nothing to do with any of those things? How would that feel? It doesn't have to do with your experience. It doesn't have to do with your skills. It doesn't have to do with how many hours you put in front of the laptop. Because I'm here to tell you it doesn't. It's about understanding your client's needs and positioning your services as the solution, right? And having the confidence to name a high ticket price that makes sense for the ROI, right? The return on investment. I just saw in the chat, somebody said, I had no idea about this. Okay, good. I'm so glad we're able to teach you something today. Stay the whole time because we have something really excited to share with you.
This is what we're going to teach you about today. But before we get into this pricing lesson, we want to show you proof that what we're talking about is actually real. And our own students have gotten results from implementing the pricing strategies we teach, because it's really easy for us to sit here and say these things and hear them. But it's another thing to see that someone else has actually done it. That's not us. So we want to show that to you. So this is Veronica. She is one of our graduates, and she joined our Design Biz Academy University, and within less than 3 months, booked her first $5,000 client without changing anything about her design skills or working more hours. Before this, she had only booked a $200 brand identity. So this is what we mean when we say you don't need more experience, you don't need to work more hours. Like, these are most of the time a lot of limiting negative subconscious beliefs we have that simply are not true. So now I want to know, would you quote a mom and pop shop the same price that you would quote a multi-million-dollar company? And I want to be clear that there's no right or wrong answer to this. So just like share in the chat your answer. We'll give you a second to do that. Shemaya said nope. Emily said no. Shakaya said no. Okay, everybody's saying no.
I'm glad you answered that way, guys.
Our answer to this question is also no. And that is because the ROI, the return on investment, will not be the same for both of those businesses. So I want you to think about this. Say your design work helps a business grow their revenue by just 10%, a super reasonable, even conservative estimate. That means if the company is making $500,000 a year, your work could help them make an extra $50,000. But for a small shop, maybe making only $80K a year, your work might add $8,000 to their revenue. Same service, same effort, totally different return. So why would they pay the same? And that is what we mean when we say price for the value they walk away with, not the hours you're putting in, because the value is going to be different depending on the client that you're working with. Stop selling your minutes and start selling your magic with value-based pricing. So hourly pricing, although in some cases it can be used and it can be useful, but a lot of times it punishes efficiency, creates scope stress, and leads to micromanagement and burnout. And flat-based pricing lets you sell results, not time, and focus on the value. And when I was in design school, I learned this very early on. I was in class working on a project, and I was done. And I looked over beside me, and the designer sitting beside me was still about halfway into the project. They were going to spend a lot more time working on their project than I had spent on mine. And I realized if I was getting paid hourly, I would have been punished for being fast and being good at what I did. So I learned that charging hourly is not always the best approach.
I want you to set a baseline pricing minimum for yourself, okay? Maybe this example for this could be at minimum, your design services, your creative services start at $5,000 and build up from there. So everybody starts out at the minimum base pricing. So in the chat right now, I want you to set a goal for yourself of what your new minimum base pricing is going to be.
What is y'all's minimum base pricing?
My base pricing starts out at $6,500. What about you, Kenzie?
Mine's at 7,000, and it's been there for a long time. I kind of like found that was like a really good sweet spot for my dream clients and who I work with. So I just haven't changed it. Like I set that years ago, and it's just been the same since.
Nice.
Jessica said 3K.
$4,000 to $5,000 starting off, $3,000 to $5,000, 3,000. All right, this is good, guys. I'm so glad you're setting these goals right now. I want to challenge
Now double the price. Now double it.
Up a little.
All right, some of you might feel a little lost when starting. And we have a guide. So you can scan this QR code. I'm also going to paste the link in the chat for you. And you can download our free guide to help you figure this out. And I want to be very clear that this pricing guide is not a formulaic guide. It's more about looking as to what's your client experience like? Are you implementing strategy? What tools are you using? What deliverables are you providing? And what is the ROI the client is going to get out of your services? It's not a plug and play formula. It's a much more holistic guide that you can apply to your unique situation. Grace, it also said that I wasn't allowed to post the link in there. I don't know why.
Oh, that's strange. I can share it.
Let me send
If
it.
you open the LinkedIn, you can share it. Like it's on separately. It's like on StreamYard. You can't really share it on LinkedIn. Wait, let me try this again. I can post it for you on LinkedIn. My comment just come with a delay, but I'll send it out via email to everyone afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you. But you guys can get it through this QR code, and make sure you're looking at that. This will definitely help you with pricing your work and getting comfortable with that value-based pricing that we're talking about. So in our value-based pricing, we determine these base prices off of 5 different variables. So first and foremost is going to be the software that you're using, right? The tools should support a high end result. And if the software limits your output, it's going to be limiting to your pricing. Also, next thing is the process and client experience. Client experience is a huge thing for us over at the Brief Collective. We teach a whole dang module about it inside our course because it is so important. Your process adds value by creating clarity and structure and trust, okay, in that client experience. These things raise what people are willing to pay if they know that they're going to get a set structured experience. The smoother and more elevated the client experience, the more premium your service feels, and a premium service feels expensive. Next up is the strategy. So how much do you know about strategy, business strategy, marketing strategy? That's how you make your work effective, right? Not just pretty visuals, because clients are going to always pay more for results than just pretty visuals. Okay. Next up is deliverables. Deliverables matter, but they're not the full thing. Okay. Right. But only when they're backed by the strategy and quality and a strong client experience. They're the icing, right? Not the whole cake. All right. Final, even your mindset, how your mindset is attached to your business and to the things that you can do for your clients. Okay. So you might not even realize it, but your mindset can make or break your business. Okay. Listen just for a second. Okay. Let's say you're on a client call and you're about to quote them the price and you're like, this is what you're like, and the price is going to be $3,000, right? That's not very confident. Okay. But if you put your shoulders back and you have your chest out, the price is going to be $5,000. Those two deliveries are wildly, vastly different. One makes the client trust you and be more willing to be like, okay, yes, please, $5,000, help me like create a solution for this problem that I'm having. And the other one is way less confident and is very, very nervous. You can totally be nervous, right? Two things can exist at the same time. You can totally be nervous, but we don't want to let the client know that we're nervous, okay? So it goes from, sure, I can give you a discount. I'm feeling bad for you. I'm going to emotionally discount. To, my prices are non-negotiable. We can totally set up a payment plan for you. Maybe you say, I hope this sounds fair, to, I know that this is valuable. There's a difference in that delivery. And that's why it also really matters where your mindset is at in relationship to your base pricing. So
also, Anna asked a really good question on the topic of like pricing guides. Do you have a guidance on minimum pricing based on years of experience?
Kinsey, you took it.
What does that mean? Yo.
Years of
experience. Yeah, years of experience.
To be transparent, I don't know what yo is, but to be honest with you, we don't really care about your years of experience. And like, we have seen people designing for 10 years who are worse than our students booking 10K clients that have been designing for 2 years. So that is why in our guide, we take into account your client process and client experience, not your years of designing, because like at the end of the day, you can be a brand new designer and be freaking incredible at what you do. And you can also be designing for 30 years and still suck. Like that's just the way it is.
Agree.
Yeah, I don't think years of experience has any like involvement in this equation at all. I think it really matters the other 5 things that we just went over. And I know that that is not true for other industries out there, but I really think that it is true for our creative industries. So I saw that you guys have put in the chat first, you put your current base pricing, right? I want you guys to put your base pricing again, and I want you to put a higher number this time. What is your minimum base pricing? What you'd be willing to get out of bed for and create for? Because you're going to be making all of these incredible solutions for your clients through this experience. Even if you raise it by $500, I call that a win.
Or double it too.
Yeah, double it.
Usually if it works, I just double it the second time.
Alejandra said, I don't know, actually, I guess yes, but it's awkward to charge somebody that cannot afford you. I don't know. So something that creatives do a lot is we put ourselves in the pockets of our clients. And so we think, well, this business can't afford that. They can't afford me. They can't afford thousands of dollars. But at the end of the day, you really don't know. And that's why it's very important to ask questions that reveal their goals in terms of revenue and in terms of customers or clients. So for example, you can say, do you have any revenue goals? Or if you're working with a service-based client, are you charging, $2,000 per client now? Do you want to be charging $5,000 per client? Okay, my branding services are going to help you do that. So like when you ask deeper questions, you can uncover your client's goals and kind of figure out where their revenue is at and what's going to make sense for the ROI that they're going to get out of working with you and what you can charge.
Love it. I see some of you put 10K. I doubled it. 7K, 1,000, 8K. Okay, guys, I see you. I see you. Here's what happens. When you raise your rates for your creative business, you are raising the standard for the entire community. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that more in a little bit, but I don't want to see more creatives working for pennies on the dollar and having to work so many hours behind the computer to make ends meet. It's just not fair.
Okay, I was typing this out, but I'll just say it here. Casey said, also useful to see as a non-US designer, a lot of clients expect cheaper rates for international designers. If you are an international designer, I highly recommend taking the time to go to our YouTube channel and looking up our student interview with Melissa. She was not from the US. She thought that she could never charge high ticket pricing, and she booked an $11,000 client. So it is very possible, no matter where you are located or what the societal norm is for designers in your area, you can still book high ticket clients. So we want you to pair your base pricing with value-based pricing to determine a quote for each client. So what I mean by that is start with your base pricing and then adjust it based on the value the project brings to the client, so that your quote reflects both the quality of your service and the impact it's going to have on the client's business. So for example, my services start at 7K, but that doesn't mean that every client's only going to pay 7K. Some of my clients are paying 12K. Some of them are paying 15K. It really depends on the business, their goals, and that expected ROI and the deliverables for the project. This gives you a powerful introduction to value-based pricing when working directly with clients. And if you're pursuing design roles at agencies or in-house positions, like that's great, but your income is often capped there, and it's limited by an hourly rate or a salary bracket or the number of hours you can realistically work. But when you are self-employed, when you're a freelancer, when you're doing your own thing, you hold the power. You get to determine what you charge and how many clients you're working with. And you can use our pricing guide to kind of help you reverse engineer your ideal salary by setting minimum rates and working with a select number of clients per year and then figuring out what that is. But like, I'm not an expert at salaries or what you should, expect to be paid at a regular job because I've only ever worked for myself as a designer. All right, client red flags. I saw this question come in a few times when people were signing up for this event, and I love this topic. So number one, if they need it all ASAP, you might want to consider a rush fee or consider passing on them as a client, because we all know that creativity and thoughtful design takes time and patience and feedback and collaboration, and we can't just always get it ASAP. Marissa, do you want to talk about the next one?
Yeah. When people ask for a discount, immediately makes me want to run the other way. I totally understand, you have a set budget that you can work with, but it really rubs me the wrong way when somebody asks for a discount because there's payment plans we can make together. And it really, I feel like it's kind of manipulating a little bit to ask for a discount whenever you wouldn't go and do that at Target. You wouldn't go and do that at Walmart, right? So why do people feel like that's okay to do for me? Like, I have a legit business, so do many of my other friends. I just don't feel like that's always fair when people ask for a discount. So that's a big red flag that I look out for.
If they're very unclear about the direction of their brand, out the door, run. Because how are you supposed to help somebody if they don't even know where they're going, right? Like, as a designer, especially when it comes to value-based pricing, there's usually a certain goal or something that your client is working towards, but you can't help them get to that goal if they don't even know what it is. And one time I had a client who was very unclear. We literally had to pause her project and take time for her to figure out what she wanted to do with her brand, because as a designer, you kind of feel all over the place if your client has no clear direction, and it's very hard to help them in those situations.
Maybe they also they are a no-show on calls, they're late, or maybe they lack good communication. I think that, in the first interaction you have with people, they really show you who they are, especially if you look at their body language, how they show up and all of that stuff. Read between the lines when you're communicating with these clients, and really pay attention to your own red flags, right? Because red flags for me are not going to be the same ones as they are for you. You might, Kinsey might have a different red flag than I do, but you really need to pay attention to the things that make your creativity the best that it can possibly be. So, for example, I don't really work well with type B people. I work better with type A people, people who like timelines and like checklists and are very systematized. That's who I align with better. But everybody else is different. So you have to make your own red flag list. This is a good one. Kinsey, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this one.
I saw Samantha had said, with this way of pricing, how would you provide a pricing breakdown? Or would you omit it altogether? Yeah, you omit it, because we're focused on the value. We don't give our clients a list of all of these things and say, this costs this much, this costs this much, and this is this much, because then that client's going to take that and say, well, I don't want this, and I don't want that, and I don't want this, and they're going to cherry pick, and that's what this means. We don't want to work with people who are cherry picking. We want people who see the bigger picture and are investing in the bigger vision, not just going to, nickel and dime every single thing that you include in their design project.
Yeah, right. Because my strategy, I don't know, I'm just pulling this out of thin air right now, but my strategy might involve, needing extra textures and icons and stuff. And the client might be like, oh, I really want to save $500. Let's just take those out. That's going to really affect the end goal of the strategy I'm trying to create. So when you price this way, you are doing it way more holistically, like Kinsey said. That is so good.
The vibes are off. If your gut's saying, this is a $12,000 project, sounds good, logically everything has gone right, but your gut's saying something's off, I don't think this is the right client, your brain will try to fight with you and be like, oh, but it's good money, they showed up to the call, blah, blah, blah. If your gut is saying something feels off, do not ignore it. I have learned that the hard way too many freaking times. Please, please, please trust yourself and trust your body and your intuition. And if something feels off, do not ignore it.
Do you want to do our Q&A now, or do you want to do it at the end?
I mean, I think we can do it at the end. There's a lot of questions in here.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll get to your questions at the end.
I'm so excited about your guys' questions. I see so many good ones coming in. But I have a question for you. Grace told us that you guys really, really love in-person events. Is that true? Give me a hell yeah in the comments. All right. We love in-person events and connecting as well, and they're always so good. So we have something exciting that we just dropped not too long ago. Kinsey, I'd love if you take this slide.
So we are hosting an all-inclusive, high-level designer retreat for those who are done playing small and ready to scale with ease, confidence, and connection in person in Wilmington, North Carolina this summer. We are staying at a house, literally beachfront property, all designers together in a house. It's going to be freaking amazing. I want to tell you some more about it. So not only are we hosting this event, but we're also offering a scholarship to attend this retreat. And if this is something that you guys are interested in, we would love for you to apply for our scholarship. Next, please. So the scholarship will include an all expense paid ticket to our retreat, minus your travel and flight costs, so please keep that in mind. And you will receive your own private room inside our beachfront property, attendance to the scaling workshops from our revenue strategist and creative expert that's coming in to help you map out how to scale to consistent 20K to 40K months. I know that can kind of sound like a big ass number if you're like, not even hardly booking the clients you want to book yet. But even if you're not at this point yet, the things that you will learn in terms of how to create sustainability in your business are going to be worth it in itself. And we're also going to be doing breakout intensives where you'll get to collaborate in small scale groups with other designers. And this also includes a luxury photo shoot for your business. So a lot of good stuff is included with this scholarship. And like we said at the beginning, we are transforming the design industry from the inside out. And Marissa, do you want to talk a little bit more about this? Because you're like the heartfelt side of the business. And I just feel like
Yeah. I would love to. We're really trying to heal the design industry from the inside out. And sometimes it's just riddled with fear and money mindset challenges. We see it all over the place. Okay. And we want to take a designer who is so clearly doing the work and they're so skilled and, they have seen some success, but they need a little bit more help creating more sustainability. We want to bring them into this experience to really expand their confidence and give them the resources that they need and elevate what they already have, what's already working for them, and help them expand that. We created the Brief Collective because we wanted help. Like, we created what we wished we had when we first became designers, when we first opened our businesses. And so now we're just on a mission to give back, to the designers who really want that help and want to shatter that starving artist mentality and really book those high ticket design clients, high ticket creative projects. So we hope that you guys are really excited about it. We are looking for a creative person that demonstrates the ability to be really resilient and consistent, even when things are tough, right? Because we know that grit is so essential when you run your own creative business. And you guys can use this QR code and apply. We just put the post up earlier today, and it has more information on how to apply for this scholarship.
Yeah, this is on our Instagram page, and like we're looking for somebody that's clearly putting in the effort, right? Like we don't want to give this opportunity to someone that's just going to use it as a free pass and go there and then never do anything with it. Like we want to support a designer who's clearly already putting in the work in their business and is looking to elevate that and is going to take this opportunity by the reins and like really make the most out of it. All right. Q&A time. Yay. So many questions in the chat. These are some free resources for you. First and foremost, our six-figure graphic designer community. Highly recommend you go join that. I see so many questions in here from people about where do I get clients? How do I get clients? Where are the high-ticket clients coming from? All that stuff. We have a lot of resources in this free community that talk exactly about that. I even break down how I booked a $15,000 client inside that free community. Then we have my podcast, over hundreds of hours of free advice on there. I have interviewed so many of our past students who have gone from struggling to high ticket designers. Highly recommend listening to that. And then of course, our YouTube channel. And also just thank you so much, Grace, for inviting us and helping co-host this and make this possible.
Yeah, happy to have y'all on. I'm glad a lot of our buddies also enjoyed. I love talking about money, and you guys are bringing money to the table and helping people price more. Because as you mentioned, I feel like everyone should charge more, so the entire industry gets made more money.
Yes. Let's all commit right now. Charge
Yes.
more.
And double your prices. That's your action item. And I'll send over the guide via email. I had some LinkedIn is weird. Like I try to drop it in the chat, but it's also like taking a lag delay. So I'll send it over via email as well. So we have a lot of great questions. I'll try to go towards the top. So Joanne asked a really good question at the beginning, is how do you show value if you don't have access to hard data from past clients that shows their services made a difference in their business?
Kinsey, you take this one. So I think a lot of times, like, it's about, so in our instance, we use attraction marketing, right? So we spend a lot of time creating content on the internet that's like, here's the before and the after. Here's how you can increase your website conversion rate by making these changes. Here's how X, Y, and Z. So you can demonstrate that you can bring value and know what you're talking about by sharing educational things like that. And you don't always have to have specific data. And even sometimes showing value can just be, here's what a business looked like before, even if it's a fake business, and here's what it looked like after I worked on it. So you can create your own case studies with passion projects without having to have hard data from past clients. And then of course, over time, you do want to follow up with your clients that you've worked with and say, hey, how is business going since we worked together? Have you noticed an increase in revenue, blah, 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 so that you can start collecting that data for the future. But like a lot of my clients are not sold on the idea of working with me by hard data. They're sold by the fact that they can see I have value, know what I'm talking about, and can transform their business from the things I posted on the internet.
Yeah, Joanne, you also might want to look at the emotional ROI, right? The emotional return on investment by having a rebrand or creative work done, because creatively, whenever you have this new brand and you have all these colors and everything's like in alignment, there's an emotional return that happens as well. And there can't be a value put on that, just like the ease ability to use your brand online and how to show up in your online presence. The other thing, Joanne, that you might want to consider is kind of developing your exit process so that you can get that hard data from your clients, 2 weeks, a month, 90 days after you do the launch of the brand. That might be helpful as well. Such a great question. Thanks for asking.
Mm-hmm. Also asking for testimonials too.
Mm-hmm.
Putting it on my website and sharing them, their impact. Yeah. Alejandra asks a good question. So basically how to increase your rates if you undercharged before. So she says, I work with one client right now. When working for a year with them, they're great, but when the first rate I negotiated them was awful. I was able to negotiate a better one, but I still think this is below what I should be charging. do really good work. It's a good client, but I don't know how it fix this. Oh, it's like, how do you increase your prices after undercharging them before?
It's really hard. And I think that you have to face reality that they may walk away. But at some point, you get to that in your business where you're like, okay, I'm burning out. This is too much work. It's not making sense anymore. And you can approach them and say, hey, we've been working together for X amount of years. Remind them of all of the things that you have done for them and accomplished for their business and that you still continue to do. And just say, over the past few months, I've been reflecting on this. And at this point, the rate that I'm doing this work for is no longer making sense, especially with the recent changes in the economy. Here's my new proposed rate, which would start on X date. Let me know if this works for you. And like, just see what the response is, because they may be happy to pay it or they may reject it. And that's okay. Like, sometimes we just have to face the fact that a client may walk away, but that opens the door for a new client to walk in.
Yeah, and I think always take it back to the agreement you guys agreed on day one, okay? Or whenever you renegotiated, hey, these are the things that I am like, this is the box that the parameters I agreed to work in, but now it's turned into this. And do a side-by-side comparison of what you agreed to and now what you're currently doing, because I am sure that it has expanded and they've kind of, did a little scope creeping, after the year of working together. So I think that one of the ways that you can keep this from happening in the future is to be really tight on those boundaries and just revisit that once a quarter when you're catching up with them and say, okay, here's what we're doing. Would you like to add anything? Or, hey, I would be happy to do that additional revision for you, but you've already used your 2 revisions. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give you another invoice for that. So just remember that you are not this person's employee. Okay, you are a business owner and they need to treat you as such. You're the business owner, meaning you are the driver of that relationship because they are paying you for a service.
Yeah, agreed. You can also say it's been a year, you've improved, you made this impact, so this is the new price.
Yeah.
And being okay to walk away. Yeah. Oh, Camilla. Hello, Camilla. Thanks for coming. She's one of my friends. She asked, can you speak to different cultural differences when it comes to clients? What are the cultural backgrounds of clients you typically work with? How different cultures have different ways of negotiating and signing deals?
I love that you bring that up. And to be honest, most of my clients are in the US. And I don't think that I've ever been in a situation where someone tried to negotiate because it was a cultural thing. But if they did, I probably fucked it up. If they did, I probably fucked it up, because for me, negotiating is not a sign of good faith. So I kind of think, like, if you are working with a lot of different cultural backgrounds where that is a thing, that just goes back to like knowing who you're working with and knowing how they do business and knowing what they value and coming to the call prepared for that specific set of clientele.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think that it goes back to, I'm the business owner. This is my process. And if you want to work with me, this is how I work. And, I'm not saying that you can't like have negotiations and deals. We all do, but they're coming into my space. This is how I operate best with my creativity. So yeah, I feel like they're coming to my table. So I hope that makes sense. What would your answer be, Grace?
Yeah, I feel like I've worked with different clients, not like a design sense, but like a sponsorship sense from Design Buddies and doing like brand deals and stuff. I've noticed clients sometimes in Asia, they expect you to negotiate, but okay, this is going to be a really specific example, but I guess before I get into a specific example, I worked with like a government entity of a country and they're really like rules oriented. They were like a great partner to work with, but they had so many requirements for me when I host an event with them. They even want to ask about people's like nationalities, which I thought was not okay. And I don't know. I try to like understand what they're coming from, and I like ask a lot of questions about how this is being reported to their team. So I just try to like ask a lot of questions about why it's that way or like why they want it. And especially in Asia, like a lot of like these markets, they kind of expect you. It's like a game. It's like a culture, really. It's like they say a price, and you're supposed to say like half the price. It's like part of the game. you play. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've only mostly dealt with people, and in Europe, they're pretty chill too. I've noticed like Americans, they work longer hours than Europeans. Like Europeans, they have a lot of holidays and then like strictly sign off at like 4 p.m. Versus Americans, they stay up till like 12 a lot of times in my personal experience. um, yeah, I don't know. I just try to like see what I try to ask a lot of questions to understand what they want and then how I can uniquely help them. It doesn't
Mhm.
really matter. I put culture aside, just ask a lot of questions and try to respond.
I like that one.
Um, G Tanjali, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, asks, what are some reasons people pursue a career in freelance design versus in-house corporate design?
I think freelance equals freedom, where you can just
Mhm.
kind of do what you want to do, work with who you want to work with. You're the decision maker on what creative projects you take, versus in-house corporate design. You have to work on what your boss gives you, and that might be good for you if that's what you want to build your experience, and you don't really want the worry of getting clients. So it just kind of depends on how you creatively work best.
Mhm.
I think you should talk a little bit more about your story with this question.
Oh, yeah, I forget about my story. Okay, so I come from a corporate marketing background, and I was making this man millions of dollars off of my creative ideas, my marketing ideas. And then I started to sit back and think, man, he doesn't want to give me a yearly bonus. He doesn't want to give me like any of the time off I was asking for. I was trying to go like schedule IVF, like the most important thing I was ever going to do in my life. And he didn't want to give me time off for it. And so that was around the COVID time, and I ended up leaving that job and built my business, and it was the best thing I've ever done. So I really think that freelance equals freedom. You just get to do what you creatively want to do, and I personally think it's way better. But it's okay if you have a different opinion than me.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on what you want in life. Like some people prefer
Yeah.
structure, they prefer like a 9 to 5, shut down after 5 and like live life. And but some people prefer to travel the world. But I don't know. I worked as a corporate designer for like 4 years. It was a great experience, but I realized it wasn't an experience I wanted to, but I learned a lot working with a team.
Hmm.
So I feel like everything feeds into each other and you should try both to see which one you vibe with more.
I like that.
Yeah. Anna asked, do you have examples of a proposal with pricing? How's your process collaborating with the client?
We do sell a client proposal template on our graphic designer resources website, which is kind of hard to find. But you'll find it if you join our six-figure graphic designers community. How is your process of onboarding with a client? So onboarding is we both use a project management system. So we're not going back and forth through email. We're not doing Facebook Messenger. We're not texting. We literally have them sign a contract, pay their invoice on their start date. They're invited into our project management system, and it lists out all of the due dates, all the expectations, who's doing what. That's where the feedback is hosted, and everything is organized. And that's kind of how we've created a really nice, smooth client process, client experience.
Yeah. Get the contract. Yeah, make sure to have a contract. And I'm sure there's a
Always.
lot of templates of contracts online too. But don't burn yourself over. Um, Anna also asked, what are the most recommended spaces to get clients that are within the budget range? So where do you find clients if there's no like top of or no like inbound coming to you?
So you really want to think about where your dream clients are hanging out online. For example, I love working with the beauty community. The beauty community is booked and busy, and they're face-to-face service-based providers. They don't have time to be on their phones all the time, but they do love Facebook groups. And they're not really super podcast people. So I always make sure that I can find my people in Facebook groups because that's where my people are hanging out online. Whereas I was coaching this girl the other day, and we figured out that her dream clients really love LinkedIn. So we made it part of her marketing strategy that she could kind of stop showing up on TikTok. Her people aren't really there, and instead put the creative effort she's putting into TikTok and put it over into LinkedIn instead. So I think that, just paying attention to where your people actually hang out online. Kinsey, what about you?
Most of my clients come from Instagram and TikTok, and people love to say, well, no CEO is hanging out on there, blah, blah. Yes, they are. My 7-figure clients on Instagram all the time. And here's the thing, a lot of times they're following you or they're seeing your content from their personal account. So you don't know that they're watching you. Like, one of my 15K client came from Instagram, and she had followed me from her personal account. So when she followed me, I had no idea. Like, people are on those platforms that have the budgets for these kind of services. It's not just for fun. It's not just for hanging out. And on top of that, sometimes they have team members that are on these platforms, and they see your content, and then they recommend you to their clients who end up inquiring.
Yeah. Also, making content, putting yourself out there increases your surface area of luck for clients to reach out to you. Yeah. Now, I had a question about a shadow. I don't know why the name is not showing up, but they said for the people who said they haven't charged $500 or $1,000 before you got this, for the people who have the money, you'll find them. I only charged $650 for brands for 2 years ago. After taking Design Biz Academy with the Brief Collective, I booked a 6K client and multiple clients over 3K. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Martian,
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100% worth the investment. Helped me first client 2 weeks ago for $3,500. Used to charge $5.
Oh,
Oh my
wait.
God.
I gotta talk about Jessica for a second.
Yeah.
Listen, we had a call and she was like, this client's asking about my pricing and I haven't responded. And I was like, why haven't you responded? And she was like, well, I'm afraid they're going to say they can't afford it. I'm like, you don't know what they're going to say. Your prices are already very reasonable for the design industry for high ticket prices. Like, it's not even really high ticket yet. Just respond. And she did. And the client was like, oh yeah, that's reasonable. The client literally said that's reasonable. So like sometimes we literally make up fears in our head and like overthink saying the number when the client literally can afford us no problem. And we hold ourselves back from following up and reaching out and booking the project just because we're afraid of what they might say about the price. And like we always think worst case scenario, but like the key is to just do it anyways, even with that fear sitting in you. Like the worst they're going to say is no, I can't afford that, and like move on to the next client, you know?
1000%. You don't know the depths
Yeah.
of anybody else's pockets.
I don't know if you guys recommend doing this, but I asked them for like a brand deal, like what are examples of campaigns you've done in the past with other similar creators, and I just like charge that but a bit higher, and I justify why.
I like it.
Yeah. Or ask my friends, or ask ChatGPT.
And whenever I was raising my prices, I just slowly did it like $200 increments because for me, that's what felt comfortable instead of just automatically doubling it. I don't know. I just felt weird about doubling it. But when I did it slowly, like I was like, okay, on the next client, I'm going to make it $200 more. On the next client, I'm going to make it $200 more. And then you just kind of get a feel for it after you slowly start getting a few clients under your belt, like what you need to be charging.
Yeah, agreed. We have 5 minutes left. There's a lot of questions. I'm gonna try to see how many we can get through.
Do it.
I think we'll send information we send you all the details via email about like the resources, the templates, the guides, the retreat stuff. So we'll do this again. I feel like I need to scroll down more. Yes, this meeting is recorded. We'll be sending the recording to y'all after. After there's that. A good question. Simone asks, how do you get away from the I can hire on Fiverr? What's a good way to convince potential clients compared to designers on Fiverr?
Kinsey, you answer this one.
You don't. Those aren't your clients, my friend. The ones that are going further are not your clients. My high ticket clients who are busy running businesses do not have time to be surfing Fiverr for a cheap project. They're looking for someone that is serious, that is going to get their business real tangible results. So like if I see somebody looking for a Fiverr designer, I don't even take the time and energy out of my day because I already know they're clearly probably not in a position where they're even considering the type of services that I offer. So like there's a group of clients for every designer at every level. And if you're aiming for those higher ticket clients, the ones that are on Fiverr are not, they're not them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Not everyone's a target audience. You don't want to please everyone. Just a couple high ticket clients. Oh, this is a great question by Miriam. Is can I go how can I go a little deeper on the questions to know if a client can afford you? Oh, how do you like ask questions to like get a sense of their budget?
Ooh. Kenzie, you have some good ones.
Well, I mean, first off, I think it's important to note that both of us display our pricing on our website. So we already disqualify a crap ton of people by the fact that our prices are out there and we're transparent. So we already know if somebody's getting on a call with us, they can afford our minimum base pricing. And then from there, I think it goes back to asking questions about their goals. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, like, do you have any specific revenue goals? Have you already hit 6 figures? Are you wanting to hit multi 6 figures? Are you wanting to charge more for your services than you are now? Do you have any other goals? Like if it's a product-based business, are they trying to get into, big brand name stores and get multiple locations? If yes, what would that do for their business revenue? Like it does boil down to the client and the industry, and it's all about digging really deep into their goals and what they're hoping to achieve through your design services to uncover like revenue related questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dig deep into like the impact of the work that you can do and charge based on that. Yeah. Ooh. So many. So, talk about like Facebook groups and finding potential clients on Facebook groups, for example. How do you get in contact with them? Do you just like slide in their Facebook DM, find their email?
Oh yeah, I'm stealth about it. I have even put together a Loom video. Hey, especially whenever I was first starting out and I like just was doing anything to get the client. Hey, I'm Marissa. I'm a brand and website designer, and I noticed X, Y, and Z on your website and brand. And here's how I would recommend we fix it. And I've gotten several clients from that. And I will actually, like every quarter, kind of make a list of clients, dream people that I would want to work with, and I start engaging with their content. I start making, pretend projects in their industry that they have, and they see themselves in the content that I'm creating, in the projects that I'm creating, and they'll end up reaching out to me before I even have a chance to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm. I love
Yeah,
that.
be bold with it.
Yeah, we're almost at time. Do you guys have time to stay like a couple minutes more to answer more
Sure.
questions, or want to wrap it up now? Okay, cool. This is about Brief Collective. Olivia asks, what resources do you recommend for beginners, and what signs do you see in your students that they often mean someone is ready for a course or even the retreat?
Ooh, this is a really good. Go ahead.
You're ready. I've been talking to her. She knows she's ready for our course. She's ready for the retreat. She knows. What signs do you see in your students? People who are showing up consistently, who are clearly putting in the work. I can watch from afar. I see you putting in the work. I see your design work. I see the effort and the level of like detail in your graphics. Like you would have no problem booking high ticket clients. Marissa, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I think that it also comes down to mindset. Like I'm ready for my next level. Like I want to expand, and you really are looking like to be challenged, I think, as well. And like this is not a course for somebody who's looking to grow their skills. This is a course for somebody who wants to really elevate that client experience and make it easier on themselves to book high ticket clients like on repeat. So yeah, somebody who's done with the burnout. I think
Mhm.
that's what we see.
Well, a couple more questions. Weena asked, how do you differentiate charging a private person and a business? Or it kind of goes. Oh,
I
go ahead.
mean, yeah, you're kind of like either way, you're doing something for a brand. Like I work with a lot of solo founders, but I've also worked with teams of people who are under a company, and like I treat them the same. One might pay a little more than the other, but like there's not that much differentiation between them. Like either way, I'm building something for a brand.
Mhm. Agreed. The same thing. Um, Simone asked, what do you recommend for savings to build a design business? So like, how do you know when you're like, I guess I feel like it's like a more depends on the person, but like, how do you know if you're ready to like quit your job and build a business financially? Like 6 months of runway, 1 year runway, 3 months of runway. How do you go about thinking about that?
Well, when I started my design business, I had 0 months of runway, and I truly just had no other option but to make it work. So I think I just like was really gritty and made it happen, because I told my husband, I was like, give me 90 days. And if I can't make this work in 90 days, I'll go back to corporate. And once I got into the freelance life, I was like, I am never going back to corporate. This shit sucks. So I think that you have to do what's right for you. What feels safe for you? How are you going to be able to operate? I'd say at minimum, you need like try to have 90 days of runway so that you can, be creative and serve those clients not from a place of survival. That's what I would recommend, Simone.
Mhm.
I think it kind of also depends how you work. Like I'm extremely ambitious. And so when I started my business, literally almost every waking second, I started my business when I was in college. I was working on my business. Like outside of maybe Saturday and Sunday, like all the other time was spent on my business. And even when I went full time, I think I had about $11,000 or $8,000 in my savings account. And like I was blog posting, I was posting on Instagram, I was in Facebook groups, I was on up, like I was doing the freaking most, and I knew that I would. So like I put the pressure on my shoulders. Like I signed a year-long lease on a house, not knowing where I was going to get consistent income from, and I just knew that I could do it because that's how I work. I work well under pressure, and I think if you're somebody that needs more space and you don't work like that, then maybe you do need more of a cushion before going full time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to believe in yourself. How are clients supposed to believe that you can make all these amazing changes in their business if you don't even believe in it? You gotta have some belief that like I can do this thing.
Yeah, I agree. Hope y'all can quit your jobs and chase a life of freedom.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, awesome. Anything else before we wrap up today you want to share with our buddies?
Buddies, you have been incredible to present to. I hope that we can do it again in the future. Like I'm having a freaking blast right now. So thank you for being such an active audience for us. And make sure you go apply for that scholarship because we want to see, if you guys want to come or not.
Yeah, and like please take advantage of these free resources. Like there's so much information in them that would have saved me so much time, energy, and like I could have avoided so many mistakes had I had resources like this when I first started. So please take advantage of them.
Awesome, cool. Thank y'all so much for taking
Thanks for
time
having
to
us, guys.
share your knowledge with your buddies today. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We end the stream. Awesome.